My next question is for Mr. Schiff, candidate for Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate. Mr. Schiff, you've warned that this nation is suffering in what you call the disease of debt-funded consumption, and have said that we have to address this imbalance between production and consumption. This has resulted in crushing debt to potentially dangerous regimes and a staggering trade imbalance, and everybody knows this can't go on indefinitely. What is the economic medicine we will have to swallow to again become a nation that produces instead of consumes? And what could you, as a U.S. Senator, do to move us in that direction?
Well, we have to understand that it's not an accident that we're in this situation. We've simply responded to the warped incentives that the government has set up. So what we need to do is get the government out of the market so that a natural balance can develop. I mean, the reason that nobody is saving in this country is because interest rates have been held artificially low by the central bank. If interest rates are too low, people aren't going to save because there's no reward for savings. And if rates are very low, the cost of borrowing money comes down. But also we have the federal government subsidizing borrowing. The government is guaranteeing mortgages, guaranteeing student loans, guaranteeing auto loans, and in doing that, they are distorting the capital markets, and they are having credit moving towards certain individuals that in a free market wouldn't get that credit, and away from others. In most of the cases, you have credit moving from businesses to consumers, and so small businesses that we need to make investments can't get capital. You see, we shouldn't even be borrowing to consume. That's a very uneconomic use of scarce credit. Credit comes into existence because of savings. Without savings, nobody can borrow anything. But if money is being borrowed by consumers because the government is guaranteeing it, there's no money there for producers to make the capital investments necessary to produce things and provide employment. So if we get the government out of the credit markets, out of the business of distorting credits, of guaranteeing debt, and artificially setting interest rates, we'll have more savings. And maybe one of the other reasons that Americans don't save anything is because the government takes so much of their income from them in taxes that there's nothing left. So if we can shrink the government, if we get the government to spend a lot less, then Americans will be to keep more of what they earn. And if they keep more of what they earn, they'll have more money to save. So the solution is to shrink government through tax cuts and through spending cuts, and to remove the regulation that has distorted our economy and has resulted in all the debt in the first place.
Thank you. Next question. Do you believe that the amendments to the U.S. Constitution grant individual rights to its citizens, or do you think these rights existed before the founding of our country?
No. Well, the Constitution was written actually to limit the power of government, particularly the federal government. That's why it exists. We ceded some of our rights to the government, but we kept most of them for ourselves. And unfortunately, the government today acts like the Constitution doesn't restrict any power. I think recently Nancy Pelosi was asked, where in the Constitution is the authority for the health care legislation? And she responded by laughing. But what, are you kidding me? Who cares what the Constitution says? We do whatever we want. And that's the problem. And I think the branch of our government that has failed us the most in this respect is the judiciary. Because they're supposed to be there to enforce the Constitution, to make sure that our elected officials follow the law, because none of them do. That's why it was written. Jefferson said the Constitution is there to bind up the government and to change the Constitution. Right now it's not bound by anything. And so one of the reasons I want to go into the United States Congress is to remind them what that document that they all swore to uphold actually says, and to force that we can't vote for these bills that are outside the Constitution. The health care bill is completely unconstitutional. There's nothing in the Constitution that mentions health care or medicine. They had doctors in 1776. People got sick. If they wanted the federal government to provide health care, they would have written it in the Constitution. It's not there. There's nothing in the Constitution that says education. That word isn't there. It's not up to the federal government to be getting involved in education. Just about everything the federal government is involved in, not only is it unconstitutional, but they screwed it up. Market and of capitalism is that because of free market competition and individual initiative and profit, quality goes up and prices go down. We see that in our daily lives. Everything we get from the private sector, every year it gets better and every year it gets cheaper. But whenever the government gets involved in something like education or healthcare, they screw it up, and instead the cost goes through the roof. And then we have a crisis in healthcare or a crisis in education, and the government solution is always more government. And they don't understand that it's their involvement in the first place that created the problem. The same thing happens with the stimulus. The government comes in, they stimulate the economy, and the economy gets sick. And what's the solution? Well, we need more stimulus. The dose wasn't big enough. It's like there's this giant forest fire, and they want to put it out with gasoline. And the bigger the fire gets, they just look for more gasoline, and they don't understand why it's getting bigger. I want to take that gasoline away from them before they incinerate the whole country.
This question is from Mr. Kutu, representing Rob Simmons, candidate for the Republican nomination for Senate. While serving as U.S. Congressman in this district, Mr. Simmons was co-sponsor for two controversial measures. One promoted cap and trade, which all agree will result in sharp increases in energy costs. The other was for eliminating the secret ballot votes for union formation, a measure that's now called card check. Since then, Mr. Simmons admitted he was wrong in both counts. What changed his mind on the two issues? He obviously strongly supported at one point.
I'll start off. I won't speak as long as Peter, but I'll definitely speak more than Attorney General Blumenthal. The fact is, Rob Simmons served as a congressional candidate in Congress as a representative for 6 years. When he returned back to Connecticut, he was appointed by Governor Rell to be the business advocate, a direct voice for the businesses to her office. During that capacity, he met with, like I said, well over 400 businesses, talked to thousands of people, and he firmly has a position against...
Answer the question. He's answering it. I heard this speech.
As you all know, my name is Christopher Kutu. I'm here representing Congressman Rob Simmons. So the answer that I know from him is he is against cap and trade, he is against card check.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next question.
Next question for you, Mr. Kutu. The Second Amendment reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Do you believe this amendment has anything to do with the right of the people to go hunting?
I think the Second Amendment is pretty clear. The people have the right to bear arms, and that right seems to be slowly deteriorating year after year as more and more laws are pushed to oppose that right. You know, really, citizens have the right to go hunting. I support the Second Amendment, as Rob Simmons does. That's it.
So does Rob believe that the Second Amendment has anything to do with hunting?
Rob Simmons.
About hunting or not?
It is indirectly about hunting. I mean, the right to bear arms, you need a weapon to actually hunt.
Thank you.
The reality is, thank you for your time. I hope to support Rob Simmons. He's a patriot for our country, and he's working very hard to represent you. Thank you.
Where is he?
Thank you very much for attending. Now is the time for mingling and talk to the candidates personally. And